welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in logical order. You can begin with the basics and then move on to advanced concepts, or you can start with the speed track and build an application from scratch, which should pique your curiosity with a desire to learn more. Let's examine the void method. You saw it in the intro, but this time we'll apply it to a practical program. In fact, we'll use this same program in the next few videos to show you how the void method can morph into a variety of other methods designed to protect data better. The void method returns no values. That's why the data type is void, V-O-I-D. It is a snippet of code or an algorithm that performs a specific task every time you call it. Think of it as a subroutine. It does something. Now you can pass parameters, values, and variables to a method, but in this first one we won't. This is just a bare bones method that does what you tell it to. Nothing more. Let's take a look at the first version of the retail price calculator. In this one there are no variables except the three global variables. No parameters are passed. The main program gets data from the user, verifies that the data is good, and then makes a call to a method to do a calculation on the data. Let's have a look. We're going to start with a void method, and we're going to use an application that I used in class a number of times. It's actually a straightforward, simple application that is designed to teach you how to use methods. But I've modified it, and I'm running it 5 different ways to show you the different things we can do with methods. And we're going to look at the void method first. And so let's take a look at the screen here. We call this thing the retail price calculator. It's an application that lets the user enter an item, an item's wholesale cost, and its markup percentage. It should then display the item's retail price. For example, if an item's wholesale cost is $5 and its markup percent is 100%, then the item retail price is $10. That's what you're going to sell it for. If an item's wholesale cost is $5, you got it for $5, and the markup is per percentage is 50%, then the item's retail price is $7.50. That's what you're going to sell it for. So it's a simple, straightforward application. We could change this thing to bring in a whole bunch of products or whatever, but we're just going to show the concept of how it does this math and how it uses the method to calculate this math. The program should have a method named calculate retail that receives the wholesale cost and markup percentage as arguments and returns the retail price of the item. We're not going to do that part just yet. We're going to use global variables first, just to show you how we can use the method to do the processing, the math, without worrying about arguments, without worrying about returning a retail value. We're simply going to do the math right on global variables. And then beyond this, we'll show you how else you can use methods and how methods can be expanded. So what do we want to know? We want to know an item's retail price. And what do we know? We know that the wholesale cost is something, and we know the markup percentage is something, 10%, whatever, when we get this. So we know that middle part. How do we get there? The retail cost is going to be the wholesale cost plus the wholesale cost times the markup percent times 100. So you're taking whatever you're paying for it, and you're adding your markup percent, which is going to be a percentage of the cost that you actually got it from. This flow chart here is designed to show you what is actually happening. If you look at it, we're going to get the wholesale cost and markup percent from the user. We're going to check for errors on that thing, and we'll issue an error message and come back. There should be a line here. Otherwise, we're going to calculate retail. I use the hexagon, really, in my flowcharting to represent a method that I'm going to go out to. So when you do this method, it zooms out to the method, which is retail equals WC plus WC times percent divided by 100. So it's basically a formula, and then it returns back to where it came from. And then we display the retail price in our program. So we're not doing any of that math in here. If you look at, we've got global variables up in here. This is going to be assigned to the program up here. And we don't have any variables in the button event. And we don't have any variables in the method variable, in the method. So it's going to use the variables up here. So everything, they're global, they're public, everybody can see them. So that's how this thing is going to work. And we're going to end up with a program with something like this. Retail price calculator, enter the wholesale price, enter that markup percent, clear, calculate retail. Retail price is going to be this, and we have an exit button on the bottom. So it's very straightforward. Let's write this thing first of all and see what we're going to come up with. So I've got a form right here, and we're going to right away we're going to we're going to add some labels here. And that first one is going to be sitting up here, and it's going to be enter retail cost. So let's go up to our properties and say enter wholesale cost. And let's right away we're going to change the format, the font on this thing, make it bold and make it 12 so we can see it. And we'll use this guy as a model for all the other things we're going to do. We're going to need another one real quickly. And we're going to lay that one over here. We're going to call this one enter markup percent. And we're going to tell the user how to do that. We're going to and we're going to tell the user how to do that by actually creating another label right here, putting it right under this one, and in here we're going to say 5 equals 5%, 100 equals 100% to give them a clue as to how to do this. We're kind of giving them instructions as we do that. It looks pretty good. We won't worry about lining it up just now. We're going to do another one for retail price. That's what we're going to be getting down here. We're going to need a couple of labels up here to input or a couple text boxes right here. The label will be down here, so we'll create another label. Let's use this label right here. Control C, Control V, and we're going to change this guy a little bit. We're going to basically set this one up as an auto size false, and we're going to give it a border style so it looks like a text box. We're going to keep the well, it looks like they're the same size. We're going to get rid of the inside here. We don't need the text in there anymore, but it's going to actually show our data that we want to see here. We're also going to have text boxes up here, so we'll grab a text box and place it in here. And we're going to change the font on the text box to bold and 12. And we're going to say make same size right away. Let's see, we're probably okay here. Let's do that. Let's give this thing here and make this label the same size. Format, make same size both. Then it lines up nicely, and we'll just center these two. Align their middle so they're together on that. We may move them someplace else in a bit. We're going to put our, in fact, we'll do that in a bit. We're gonna take this guy. He's going to be called text wholesale cost. And I don't think we need to do anything more with him. But we do want to copy him because we want a percentage in here. And that percentage will be txt markup percent. And that's sitting there. We got this one named too. The thing down here is the label 5. We don't have a label 5. We need to call this LBL retail price. And we'll format all this in a bit, but we're going to need a couple of buttons. So we're going to grab a button here, lay it here, and call it, this one will be called exit. we'll change its font to bold and 12, and the size right away too, so it fits those wording in there, and place it down at the bottom of the screen here. And we'll give it the button EXIT. Then we're going to grab this guy and lay him on here twice. And we're going to make this one clear. And it will be called button clear. And this one is going to be doing all the heavy lifting. So we're going to name this guy Calculate Retail. In code, it will be called button Calculate Retail. BTN calculate, or just calculate's fine. We can use that. That'll work out just fine. I want to extend this a little bit so the wording shows up. And now that it does show up, we're going to make this the same size. And we're going to center these two buttons horizontally. We're going to line this up. Align their middles. Looks good. We're going to line this one with this one. Actually, this one with this one. And we're going to align the middles. And then we're going to take this whole thing here and center this on the form horizontally. It's there. Retail price, I think we're going to line it up so that it's kind of even with the button we have right here. Actually, we'll line it up so it's even with the text boxes there. And then lay this thing up there where we can actually align its middle. And now it's looking good. That's fine. You know, this is good. The thing works fine. We're going to save it. Save all. And we now have our program ready to go. Does it work? Test our form. And yeah, it looks okay. We can type in here. And we can type in here. These things don't work, and this doesn't work. So we're ready to program this thing and get it going. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the easy stuff first, and we're going to simply code our exit button by double-clicking on exit, and we'll simply say close form, and we'll say this dot close. And that's done there. We're going to go to our design again. We'd like to do the clear button, but let's think about this a second. First of all, what we're going to do, we're going to clear out these two and these things right here and then set the focus at the wholesale cost. So we will, because we want the user to come in and be able to type down in here, hit the calculate button, get an answer, and then do another one by hitting clear and popping himself right back up there. So we're going to double click on the clear button, and we're going to say txt markup percent dot text is equal to quote quote txt wholesale cost dot text is equal to quote quote, and LBL, that label down below, retail price dot text, is going to be equal to quote quote, and then we're going to set our focus. First one is the wholesale cost, where we want to go first. So we'll basically say that txt wholesale cost dot text No, dot focus. I notice I didn't capitalize the wholesale cost, and I'm not going to do it now because it's too late. If you do this kind of thing and you screw it up, you really have to delete it and bring it back in. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it as wholesale cost right now. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll be just fine here. So that's our percentage. Now what we're going to also do is we're going to go to our form load. And I want this thing to be clear when it comes up. So I'll double click on form load. And that's there. And I'm going to take the same data I've got right here and lay it into form load. So when it comes up, the program does that. And we'll do a file save. And we'll test this thing to see that everything's working here. And as you can see, my cursor's sitting in form load ready to type in. I could type in 100, and I can bounce down here, and I can type in 5 or 5%. And I bounce on the exit. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to bounce to the calculate retail next. So I'm going to change the tab entry on this thing. So I'm going to, well, we can test the exit button right away, see that it works. In fact, let's check the clear, and then let's check the exit button, and it does work fine. And I want to look at the tab index on those properties. So I'm looking at the tab index on wholesale cost, which happens to be a tab index of 5. It's because it's the 5th thing I put out there on the thing. And the labels here that have tab indexes too, tab index 0, they don't ever get used because they're labels, and we don't sit on labels. So we're just fine leaving it that way. So a tab index of 5 here is fine. A tab index of 6 is fine here. So we want this to be a 7. This calculate button is a 9, so we're going to change it to a 7. And we might want to change the 8 is clear here, and we want to change this exit button to a 9. Then reverse a little bit, and then we're sitting just fine. So that's it. Those are the only things we're going to be working with. So that'll allow us to do our tabbing as we go through this program. Now let's talk about writing this code. All of the code is going to be taking place in the retail button right here. So we need to double click on this to see what we're going to get. And I'll double click on it, and that'll open up our button calculate window. Now, remember in the flowchart, we talked about creating global variables that this program will use, and the data is going to come in from the user and sit in these global variables. The method is going to also use the same global variables. We're not going to return anything. We're just going to operate strictly on them. So everything is being seen here. So that's what we're actually going to do. So what I'm going to do is I want to check my data. So I'm going to say if, oops, I got to create variables first. Let's do that. Let's go up to the top, and let's create some global variables in our class form. I'm going to say double DBL wholesale cost, and that will, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to open this up for us. Holds wholesale cost from user. Then I'm going to set another double up. DBL markup percent. Holds markup percent from user. And finally, DBL retail price. Holds calculated retail price. So that's what I need. Those are the 3 variables I'm going to be using from our flowchart. So now I can go down here and I can say if double dot try parse text wholesale cost dot text, and I'll send it out to double wholesale cost, and I'm going to create my method that if that's true, the good stuff is going to happen here, and I'm going to say else And I'm going to say message box invalid wholesale cost. And then I'm going to want to set it up so I'm actually jumping back up to the wholesale cost if this is wrong. So I'm going to, let's do this the cheap way. I don't need the wholesale cost. I don't need the markup percent there, so I'll pull that out. But I do want to set the focus to that wholesale cost. That's right there. So that's what we're going to do there. Now the good stuff again. If we're successful with our wholesale cost, we're going to be sitting here. So we want to ask the question if double dot try parse text markup percent and send that out to DBL markup percent. And if it's good, we'll do this. Otherwise, we're going to say message box dot show invalid percent markup. And end that with a thing. And we're going to clear our wholesale, our markup percent. We'll grab this guy right here, lay it underneath here, and then set our focus to that. txt markup percent dot focus. And that'll put our user there. Now, if the good stuff, both these things were good, we're going to then look to see that they're not negative. So if DBL wholesale cost is greater than 0 and DBL markup percent is greater than 0, we're happy as clams. Otherwise, message box show negative numbers not allowed. Now I could have done these separately and actually pinpointed the user right to the particular one that had the negative number. I didn't. So if this is the case, we don't know where to go. So what we could do is we could simply clear the whole thing out and let the user start over again with what he was actually putting. So we'll just use that data right here to clear all our text boxes, our label out, and put our focus right back out there. So this gives us our line of our validation techniques. We could put a range on here. It's range checking too to look for a maximum number. We won't go through. We've seen that before, so we know how to do it. So we'll leave that out just to keep the program somewhat short. Okay, so now if we have this thing in place, what do we want to do? Well, this is the cool thing about methods. We don't have to worry about it. We simply say, well, we got this thing now, so let's calculate retail and give it the parameters, which we're not going to send any, and say call calculate routine. And then we're done. We're going to say LBL retail price.text is equal to DBL retail price to string, and we're going to make it currency. And that will put our currency in there. Okay, so we have one big fat error right here. That's because we have not written the method. We need to do that. This is going to be fairly simple. We simply go down to creating methods. We go down to the bottom of the program or anywhere we want. Follow the line down here so you're working in the same range as the other ones. You want to keep your braces proper. And you simply say private void, Remember, we're creating a void method here, and we use the word calculate retail. And give it the parentheses for the parameters. And then we give it the braces so we can write the data. Private, I didn't spell private right, so that's why we still have an error here. That takes care of the error. And notice that, okay, I didn't spell this right. So we kept the error. That's a nice thing about having the error there. It's there. But now we got it spelled properly. The error goes away. So it says there is a routine down there. It doesn't do anything, but there is a routine down there. Now all we have to do is write the math to actually calculate our retail. So we'll say DBL retail price is equal to DBL wholesale cost plus DBL wholesale cost times DBL markup percent divided by 100. And bang, put our semicolon on there, and we're basically done. File save all, and let's run this and see what happens. Okay, if we have something that is, we bought something for $100 and we want to make a 5% profit on this thing, we'll pop a 5 in here, we'll hit the calculate retail, and we get $105. Cool, we're happy with that. Where does the tag to next? Oh, it actually does do a clear button, so I can actually tab there and clear it up and put in $55 you bought something for. We're going to make a 10% profit on that. Calculate retail, $60.50 is what we'll charge for that thing. So this works. The beauty of this thing is we wrote our code to do all the work. It's going off to a method and then doing the calculations, coming back to where it came from, and then it's going letting us display the retail price. We are using global variables. We have used no variables inside our routine and no variables inside the calculate retail. Everything was done in global. That's going to change as we go forward and see other ways of doing this kind of thing. So we'll close off our program, and that's the simplest way to do methods. It's basically it's a container which has a number of lines of code in it that does a certain task. In this case, we didn't make it very difficult. We didn't add any parameters. We didn't return anything. We just let it do its work. So that's a void method. Pretty straightforward, wasn't it? The method had a name that actually meant something. It did the math for us, updating the value in the retail price global variable. All our main program had to do was display it on the screen. This is the first of several forms of methods. This one is the easiest and probably the most used. But the others are important as well, especially if you want to protect data. We'll look at passing arguments to methods next. And I think you'll find this one intriguing as well. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Oh, and don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. If you get a chance, please subscribe. That way you'll be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.